Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock of the Emerald Planet and Emerald Planet TV. We come to you on a week-to-week basis from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technology, services, and products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we have a planet of 9 billion people by 2038 and possibly 12 to 13 billion by the end of this century, how are we going to be able to take care of all these people on planet Earth? And that's what Emerald Planet's all about. We come to you looking at the solutions, the best practices from around the globe as we create the Emerald Planet. Hello, welcome to the Emerald Planet. We're making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And seeing the long-term impacts of climate change. We're glad to have you. Thank you for being with us.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet again. We're looking at the monarch butterflies. The monarchs are the monarchs, if we can play on the name, of the pollinators, and without it, we would not have food on planet Earth. So there, and along with thousands of other pollinators, are critical to the life cycle, not only of the species itself, but also the food chain for all of living beings and all of humanity. And I have a gentleman that's going to be telling us about the monarchs and also the work that he's been doing for a number of years. His name is William H. He goes by Bill Dent. He's the Executive Director of Natural Partners. Full disclosure, I'm on his board of directors. Also, he is the co-chair of the Trees for the Capital with the Rotary Club of Washington, D.C., and I'm co-chair with him on that as well. So Bill and I work very closely together month by month and sometimes week by week. But Bill, welcome back to the Emerald Planet.
Dr. Sam, it's always great.
Tell us a little bit about the Monarch Sister Schools program and why it's so important.
Okay, well, Monarch Sister Schools program started back in 2008 here in Washington, D.C. I had been doing some work with the World Wildlife Fund when I became aware of the problem of the illegal logging that was affecting the overwintering habitat of the monarchs in Mexico. And when I was there, got to know some of the communities, and it occurred to me, because I had been running the North American Association for Environmental Education, that it really would be great to involve school children, the next generation, in the problem of the disappearing habitat, which has contributed so much to the drop in the population, not only the monarchs, who are kind of the canary in the coal mine, but also pollinators in general. And as you mentioned, the pollinators, we depend on pollinators for a lot of our food.
Now, looking at the monarchs themselves, they're absolutely gorgeous. They fit right into their natural habitats. But tell us a little bit about, again, why they're so important as a pollinator, and then how does this actually the poster child for pollinators to protect everything?
Yes, well, the monarchs have been actually one of the most ubiquitous of butterflies. Found there's an eastern population east of the Rockies and a western population that people who've lived in California have seen in places like Santa Cruz. But the eastern population is unique in the fact that it migrates from southern Canada and northern United States down to Texas, and from there to central Mexico. And this long-lived generation, which we call the Methuselah generation, actually goes to the same groves of trees as their great-great-grandparents.
Yeah, and we're going to be looking at those in just a few minutes. But looking at the interest of these children, it's just incredible to see how engrossed they are as far as the monarchs. Tell us what they're looking at and what is going on in this photograph.
Okay, yes. Well, one of the things that we do with the schools that we work with in the United States is to actually do a workshop with teachers. They build these cages like you see here. And what we usually do, we try to get the larva from the garden of the very same school. So it's one of the first things that the kids can actually do at the very beginning of the school year, is actually go out and look under the leaves of the milkweed. Milkweed is the host plant, the only plant on which the female will lay her eggs. And they can bring the larva in, and actually they have to provide the fresh milkweed leaves, but raise the larva until the larva changes into a chrysalis. It's not a cocoon. Butterflies only have chrysalises. And after about 11, 12 days, the metamorphosis is complete, and a full-fledged, beautiful monarch butterfly emerges.
Now, this is the actual process here. So for
yes,
our visitors that are watching this right now, both in the United States and around the globe, tell us each stage and talk about the importance of each stage.
Yes. So in this image, you can see on the left is a highly magnified monarch egg. A female will lay about 300 eggs, always one egg per leaf to ensure adequate food when the egg hatches. And then when it hatches is the first of 5 stages or instars of the caterpillar or larva. And you can see in the second image, basically the way a monarch caterpillar looks at the 5th instar stage. Then at the end of that instar, the caterpillar will form into a J shape and kind of shed its skin and form a chrysalis. And it's one of the most beautiful of all the chrysalises in the butterfly kingdom. It has a golden ring around it. And after about 11, 12 days, the full-fledged monarch butterfly will emerge. And it's hard to believe that a butterfly with a wingspan of almost 4 inches can come out of a little chrysalis like that. But it's something beautiful to behold. Then the kids can release the butterfly that they've raised.
Yeah, I tell you, it's just an absolutely beautiful process, and it's something so important. And this is also as far as the standards of education, it's part of their science curriculum, correct?
Yes, the beauty of working with the monarch is there's so much that the kids can do. You have not only the life cycle that we were just looking at in the previous slide, but also it's a migratory species. So the kids can learn about migration, what's involved with that. And we do have them, before releasing the butterflies they've raised, usually it's an adult, unless it's an older child, to apply a tag as part of a citizen science project where the data is gathered, and they will send information on, when they tagged it, where they tagged it, whether it was male or female. And then once released in September, this is the generation, the long-lived generation of butterflies that will migrate down to Texas and then from there to central Mexico. And that's what we're looking at here. It's a volcanic mountain range where they love to hang out at an altitude of about 10,000 feet. And here you can see them in a big cluster hanging on an oyamel tree, which is their favorite tree. About 99% of them hang out on an oyamel tree. It's just amazing to be there. You've witnessed it yourself, Dr. Sam. Millions of butterflies.
Yeah, the amazing thing about this, the butterflies will actually land on you. I had several on my hat, shoulder of my jacket. They're actually quite friendly, and they're not afraid of human beings. And they're just beautiful as they move. And when you see them shimmering on the trees and the limbs, it's just absolutely incredible. The whole tree is moving, and it's just a really beautiful sight. But I'm going to go back to this migration pattern here and tell us a little bit about the Rio Grande and why that's such an important point as far as the migration of the monarch butterfly.
Absolutely. Well, the eastern population, east of the Rocky Mountains, as you can see, whether butterfly emerge or was born in Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, or even Montana, they all head down to Texas. And it's just amazing their ability to navigate. And they've finally been able to pinpoint that the navigation is in their antennae, and they can actually calculate where the sun should be and keep on track. So this is another phenomenal thing, which allows them to go to the very same groves of trees. You were there at El Rosario. They have a visitor center because they know the butterflies will come again. I mean, the population's been down, and that's part of the reason why we started the program, is to have more people planting gardens. But it is truly one of the amazing phenomena of nature.
Now, looking at the science curricula, you're planting these monarch gardens, and many people that plant their own gardens have what's called the Monarch Byway. And it's amazing to see these signs, just popping up all over the Washington, D.C. area, both in downtown Washington, D.C., out in Maryland and Virginia, and see the number of homes now are becoming involved in this monarch butterfly program that started through the schools.
Yes, it's really quite exciting. We ourselves have been instrumental in getting about 50 schools in Washington, Maryland, Virginia to plant pollinator gardens that are really butterfly gardens. They incorporate milkweed, which is the host plant of the monarch in particular, and the monarchs need the milkweed because that's the only plant that their larvae will eat. So these lesson plans, these curriculum guides have a series of lesson plans that start with the garden itself, and the kids get to know a lot about the plants, and it's a real important connection for many of them for the first time with nature. It's amazing how many kids these days don't have that connection.
Now they're going to obtaining the butterfly and go through all these stages as far as the educational program. We're seeing the whole life cycle right here in this stylized image. Tell us what we're looking at, and then we need to finish up very quickly.
Sure. Okay. So the lesson plans deal with the life cycle as well as the migration. And here you can see the life cycle. You can see a rather mature caterpillar. Then the next image is going into a J and then forming the chrysalis. And then by the 11th or 12th day, you can actually see the wings of the butterfly through the sides of the chrysalis, and then they emerge. And that's when we have the teachers apply a tag as part of the citizen science project, and the children get to release the butterflies, which is really thrilling, knowing that the butterfly they have in their hand will go all the way to Mexico, and then we have a way of connecting them in Mexico.
I'm going to leave this up. What do you see for the growth and expansion as far as the sister schools program for the monarch butterflies over the next 5, 10, and 15 years? We got to be quick.
Okay. Well, we're very excited. We've had contacts with the Ministry of Foreign Relations, and they are quite interested in our program. So we're hoping to increase the number of schools and increase the cultural exchange between the U.S. schools and the Mexican schools, all about this amazing shared species that migrates from one country to the other.
That's fantastic. This is William Dent of Natural Partners, the Monarch Sister Schools program. Thank you for being with us as we look around the globe and create the Emerald Planet.